Everyone tells you about the beaches, the cheap rent, the $2 lunches. But nobody, and I mean nobody, warns you about the weird stuff. The strange things that start happening to your brain, your friendships, and your sense of time when you actually retire in another country. Not vacation there. Live there. Today, I'm counting down 6 genuinely bizarre things that happen to almost every single person who retires abroad. These aren't horror stories. Most of them are almost funny. But every single one blindsides new expats because no blog, no realtor, and no YouTube tour of a $300 apartment ever mentions them. And stick around for number 1, because the strangest thing about retiring abroad doesn't happen. It happens on the day you fly home. Everything on this list comes from patterns that long-term expats report over and over, in forums, in interviews, and in those brutally honest conversations that happen 3 beers into a beach sunset. Some of it's delightful, some of it's uncomfortable, all of it is real. If you're planning your own escape, hit subscribe. We publish new retirement abroad research every week. And the usual reminder, this isn't financial or legal advice. It's the stuff nobody puts in the brochure. Number 6, your money psychology completely inverts. You spent 40 years being careful, clipping the metaphorical coupons, skipping the appetizer, doing the math in your head at the grocery store. That wiring took a lifetime to install. Then you land in Vietnam or Ecuador, and dinner for 2 with drinks costs $15. A 90-minute massage costs $12, and your brain short-circuits. Suddenly you, the person who agonized over a $6 coffee, are the rich one at the table, and it feels genuinely bizarre. Retirees describe standing in a market having a small identity crisis over whether to buy the nicer mangoes. And then remembering the difference is 11 cents. Some people swing hard the other way, and this is the honest catch. That feeling of being rich is a psychological trap. The expats who get into trouble abroad are rarely undone by the country being expensive. They're undone by it feeling so cheap that they stop counting entirely. The daily massages, the drivers, the rounds for the whole bar, and 18 months later, the $2,000 a month town is somehow costing them $3,500. The bizarre part isn't the prices. It's discovering that after 4 decades, your relationship with money was never actually about math. It was about habit. And habits don't check exchange rates. Number 5. Every single day becomes Saturday, and it's more disorienting than you think. For your entire adult life, time had scaffolding. Monday meant something. Friday meant something. The weekend was a reward you earned. Then you retire abroad, and all of it dissolves at once. No job, no commute, and none of the familiar seasonal anchors either. Thanksgiving is just a regular Tuesday in Portugal. The Super Bowl airs at 1 in the morning. Your birthday falls in the wrong season if you've crossed hemispheres. You go from maybe 20 genuinely free hours a week to over 100 overnight. New expats consistently report the same strange symptom, checking their phone to find out what day of the week it is, and feeling a small jolt of panic when the answer doesn't matter. For the first month, it's bliss. Around month 3, it can quietly slide into something heavier. A formless, drifting feeling that psychologists who study retirement call the loss of time structure, and it's a real predictor of retirement depression. Here's the honest catch. Paradise without structure stops feeling like paradise remarkably fast. The expats who thrive rebuild the scaffolding on purpose. Tuesday market, Thursday language class, Sunday hike. It sounds boring. It's the opposite. Structure is what makes the freedom feel like freedom again. Number 4. You become a minor local celebrity, whether you want to or not. Move to a Mexican town of 30,000 people where you're one of maybe a dozen foreigners, and you will be noticed. The woman at the fruit stand starts setting aside the good avocados when she sees you coming. School kids wave and shout hello to practice their English. You get invited to the wedding of someone you've met exactly twice, and it would be genuinely rude not to go. After decades of American suburban anonymity, where you could live 10 years next to someone and never learn their name, this feels like a warm bath. Retirees describe it as being adopted by an entire town. But here's the honest catch. Celebrity is a two-way mirror. In a small town abroad, everyone knows when you got a haircut, who visited you last week, and what you paid for your rent, usually within about 6 hours. The gossip network is faster than the internet and twice as accurate. Your privacy, the thing America manufactures by the square mile, is simply gone. Most expats decide the trade is worth it. Loneliness is a far bigger killer of retirements abroad than gossip ever will be. But the adjustment is real. You haven't just moved to a new country. You've gone from being nobody in particular to being the American. And that's a character you now play every time you leave the house. Number 3. Your friendships back home quietly evaporate, and new ones form at a speed that almost feels fake. Nobody plans to lose their friend, but a 13-hour time difference is a slow poison for friendship. When it's 7 in the evening for them, you're asleep. When you're free, they're in a meeting. The spontaneous call becomes a scheduled call, the scheduled call becomes a missed call, and the group chat that used to buzz daily goes quiet within about 6 months. No fight, no falling out, just time zones doing what time zones do. And then, the flip side, something equally bizarre. Friendships abroad form at 10 times the speed. You meet another expat couple at a cafe on Tuesday, and by Saturday you're having dinner at their house like you've known them for a decade. Shared strangeness is a powerful glue. You're all foreigners figuring out the same electric bill, the same visa office, the same language mistakes. But here's the honest catch, and veterans call it leaving season. Expat communities are revolving doors. Every in the year, some of your in the losest friends will repatriate, chase cheaper rent to another country, or go home for family reasons. The average expat friendship burns twice as bright and half as long. You learn 2 skills you never needed back home: how to make a real friend in a week, and how to say goodbye well. Both get easier. Neither ever stops stinging. Number 2. Your news addiction breaks, and the withdrawal is real. The average American consumes about an hour of news every day. And if we're honest, most of it is an outrage delivery system. You don't realize you're a subscriber until you leave. For the first few weeks abroad, you keep refreshing the same apps, following the same fights. And then something strange happens, usually around month 2 or 3. The headlines that used to spike your blood pressure start reading like dispatches from a distant planet. The scandal of the week back home matters exactly nothing at the fish market. You can't do anything about any of it from 9,000 miles away. And slowly, your brain accepts that and just lets go. Long-term expats consistently describe this as the single biggest quality of life upgrade of the entire move. Bigger than the weather, bigger than the cost of living. Their resting stress level drops so noticeably that visiting family comments on it. Here's the honest catch, because there is one. Disengagement can quietly become disconnection. You still vote absentee, you still file your taxes, your family still lives inside those headlines, and staying informed enough to be a citizen without being a captive is a genuine balancing act. But most retirees abroad land in the same place. They traded an hour a day of manufactured anger for an hour a day of actual life, and they'd never, ever trade back. And number 1, the most bizarre thing about living abroad is what happens when you go home. It has a name, reverse culture shock, and it blindsides almost everyone, because you braced yourself for Vietnam to feel foreign. Nobody warned you that Ohio would. You walk into an American supermarket after 2 years away and freeze in the cereal aisle, 40 feet of options, 200 varieties, and your brain, retrained by a market with 3 kinds of everything, simply locks up. Psychologists literally call it choice paralysis, and expats report standing there, genuinely overwhelmed, holding an empty basket. Then the prices hit. $19 for an airport sandwich, $140 for a casual dinner for 3 that would have cost $20 back in Da Nang. Then the tipping screens 15, 20, 25%, spinning toward you at places that never expected tips before, and you're doing anxious math on a counter-service coffee. But the strangest part is the conversations. Your friends are lovely, and they're having the same conversations they were having 2 years ago. The same complaints, the same shows, the same traffic. You've been rewired by 10,000 small adjustments, and somewhere in the second hour, someone says the famous words, "You've changed." They mean it as an accusation. It's actually the receipt, proof that you didn't just relocate your recliner. You actually lived. And that's the payoff of this whole list. Remember the promise from the beginning, that the strangest part of retiring abroad happens the day you fly home? Here's why it matters. Every bizarre thing we just covered, the money vertigo, the endless Saturdays, the small-town fame, the fast friendships, the news detox, the reverse culture shock, they're not bugs in the experience. They're proof of purchase, evidence that you didn't spend your retirement watching a screensaver of someone else's life, you actually got in. A vacation never rewires you. Living somewhere does. So if some of this list unsettled you, good. It means you're taking the idea seriously, and the people who take it seriously are exactly the ones who thrive. Now I want to hear from you. If you're already retired abroad, what's the weirdest thing that's happened to your brain since you moved? And if you're still planning, which of these 6 excites you? And which one scares you? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one, and next week's episode is the practical flip side of this one. 5 countries where your social security check, The average is about $2,000 a month now. Doesn't just cover your life, it makes you one of the wealthiest people in town. If you've ever wondered where your check goes furthest, you do not want to miss it. Subscribe so it lands in your feed, and I'll see you there.